Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranam. My prostrated obeisances to each one of you. Thank you all for joining in. Very, very grateful to this initiative from ISKCON Atlanta. The whole world is celebrating the auspicious arrival of Sri Ramachandra in Ayodhya. And we, as part of ISKCON Atlanta, also extend our heartfelt obeisances at the lotus feet of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya, our obeisances at the lotus feet of all the great Vaishnavas who have assembled there to celebrate such a wonderful, joyous, momentous, historic occasion, welcoming Sri Ramachandra back into Ayodhya. So on this auspicious occasion, I have been asked to serve all of you for the next 10 days, except for the weekends. We'll have classes Monday to Friday for 2 weeks on Valmiki Ramayana. And we will be discussing the Bal Kand this time, and progressively other Kands also in the future, Krishna willing, Ram willing. So we want to quickly do little Kirtan and start off with Mangalacharana and get into our discussion for today. Hare Krishna. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. यावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। भक्त शिरोमणि श्री हनुमान जी महाराज की जय। पतित पावन शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So first of all, before we begin, I would like to offer my prostrated obeisances hundreds and thousands of times at the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, whose causeless mercy and unlimited compassion has brought all of us today discussing this most auspicious topic of Sri Rama Katha. It is only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy that Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Gaura Leela, Vigraha Seva, deity worship, chanting of the holy name, observance of Ekadashi, the worship of Tulsi Devi, the importance of Sri Vrindavan Dham, all of this was distributed far and wide in this world. And not to forget the mass distribution of his books, the mass distribution of congregational chanting of the holy name in every town and village of this world, and the mass distribution of Prasadam Seva. By Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are now connected to so many wonderful Vaishnavas, so many senior Vaishnavas. We are connected to so many wonderful prayers from the Shastra. We are connected to so many wonderful Vaishnav songs. We are connected to so many wonderful temples in Vrindavan and other places, only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Whatever dress we wear today, and whatever language we speak today, whatever culture we are part of today, whatever practices we are part of today, they are all because of Srila Prabhupada's blessings. Srila Prabhupada 50 years ago left his home and built a home called ISKCON in which the whole world can live. Not just as an institution or an organization, but a whole cultural practice of tradition. What time to wake up, what to do after waking up, what are the prayers to be chanted, what mood we should inculcate, what habits we should inculcate, what time we should honor prasadam, how hard we should work, and how selfless we should live. Srila Prabhupada has taught all of these principles to the whole world. So, Prathamam to Guru Pujyam Anyatha Nishpala Bhavet. First of all, we should offer obeisances to Sri Guru. And if we don't do this, Nishphala Bhavet. Whatever bhakti we perform, all becomes Nishphal or fruitless. So first we should offer obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Maharaj, the Guru Vrinda, Vaishnav Guru Vrinda, which means the group of wonderful, empowered Vaishnav soldiers who are all acting in the service of Sri Guru, rescuing so many wonderful hundreds and thousands of disciples, well-wishers, and followers around the world. I want to offer my obeisances very specifically at the lotus feet of my beloved Guru Maharaj, Pratasmaraniya Om Vishnupad Ashtotra Shata Shri Srimad Param Pujyapad Srila Radha Govinda Das Goswami Maharaj, who very kindly, very lovingly rescued this soul and engaged him in the service of the Vaishnavas. I want to offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Sudarshan, the presiding deities at ISKCON Atlanta. And I want to offer my obeisances of gratitude to the management headed by the temple president Vedasara Prabhu and congregation director His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu and His Grace Jagannath Krishna Prabhu, who coordinated as he does every year the wonderful details of this discussion. And last but not the least, I want to offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of my parents, all my well-wishers and dear family, and to all of you present here. Thank you for making it. It means so much to all of us. We all have been blessed with the opportunity to hear. I am not going to be the speaker. Valmiki Muni himself will be the speaker. We will all be the listeners sitting together in our Zoom temple. We will sit and hear to Valmiki Ramayana for the next 10 days. I offer my obeisances at the lotus feet of all the great Rama Bhaktas who from one generation to another, all the great devotees of Sri Ramachandra, who from one generation to another have blessed us with so many songs and verses and so many devotional moods in so many different languages from different parts of the world, especially from different parts of India, blessing us, whether it's from South India, whether it's Bhadrachala Ramadas in Telugu, or whether it is Tyagaraja and Annamacharya from Andhra Pradesh, or whether it is Goswami Tulsidas ji from the northern part of India. Sri Ramachandra has captivated everyone, each one of us, not just in India, but around the world. You can see all the greatest famous Vaishnav gurus, and even from a material perspective, the news reporters and channels and celebrities and politicians and Bollywood famous personalities and even sports personalities, they're all going only to offer their obeisances to Sri Ramachandra in Ayodhya. And what to speak of having such a wonderful leader in India who's spearheading the worship of Sri Ramachandra as the forefront of our country. So my obeisances to everyone, all the Rama Bhaktas present, and to all the wonderful Vaishnavas. May by all of your blessings, the right words come at the right time, in the right mood and the right spirit, to serve the Supreme Lord and to cleanse our heart. This is my only intention. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmiki Muni Simhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shunvan Rama Katha Anadam Konu Yantim Paramgati. In the glorification of Mahamuni Sri Valmiki Muni, the dear disciple of Narada Muni, it has been mentioned, Kujantam Rama Rama Iti. This very beautiful kokila bird, cuckoo bird, who sings very sweetly. This is a glorification verse for Valmiki Muni. Kujantam, he is cooing like a cuckoo bird. Kujantam Rama Rama Iti. What is he singing? He is chanting the beautiful names of Sri Ramachandra. Rama Rama Iti. He is constantly repeating the names of Sri Ram. Like how Lord Shiva sings Sri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. That at the end of the Vishnu Sahasranam, the celebrated 1,000 names of Vishnu, Mother Parvati asks Lord Shiva that Kena Upayena Laghuna Vishnor Nama Sahasrakam Patthite Pandite Nityam Shrotum Ichamyaham Prabhu. Mother Parvati asks Lord Shiva, is there a way by which a living entity, a devout follower, devotee of the Supreme Lord can quickly attain the merit of chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu? So Lord Shiva readily agrees and he says, yes, the benefit of chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be attained very easily by chanting the name of Sri Ram. Sri Rama 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 iti. Just by chanting the name of Ram. Sahasra nama tat tulyam Rama nama varanane. By saying Rama, one gets the benefit of saying the names of, uttering the names of Vishnu 1,000 times. So Kujantam Rama Rama iti. Madhuram Madhuraksharam. These very beautiful, sweet, wonderfully attractive syllables of the name of Ram, Rama. They are so nice to see. Just looking at the syllables of Ram now, just hearing the sound vibration of the name of Sri Ramachandra, just remembering the form that is created in the heart by saying Ram, by doing kirtan of the names of Ram. Madhuram Madhuraksharam. It is so enlightening and enriching to the heart of the chanter. The name of Sri Ramachandra is like a touchstone, and we are all like fallen stones. But the name of Ram is such a touchstone. By touching the stone of our heart can become like a touchstone, completely divine and completely transcendental. So Valmiki Muni is like a cuckoo bird, a kokila pakshi. Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam, who has climbed up the wish-fulfilling desire tree of poetry. It's not just a tree, it's the tree of poetry. It's a poetic tree. So he's climbed up the branches of poetry, and as a cuckoo bird, he's residing there with so many beautiful, wonderful poetic verses, 24,000 verses in Sanskrit, predominantly composed in Anushtup Chanda, and also other chandas, but mainly Anushtup Chanda. Valmiki Muni, as a cuckoo bird, has climbed up the tree of poetry and is singing Rama, Rama, Rama. So, Vande Valmiki Kokilam. We first of all offer our obeisances to this cuckoo bird called Valmiki Muni, who is so sweetly singing the names of Ram. But yet at the same time, Valmiki Muni Simhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shunvan Rama Kathanadam Konu Yantim Param Gatim. In the next verse, Valmiki Muni has been compared to a ferocious lion. Now it's quite interesting that the sweet melodious singing of a cuckoo and the ferocious heroic spirit of an angry lion, they seem to be virodabhas, which means they seem to be completely opposites. They seem to be oxymoron in nature, completely antithetical in nature to one another. The cuckoo bird and the lion seem to be two contrasts. But why is it that Valmiki Muni has been compared once to a cuckoo bird and once to the lion? That is because the sweet melodious singing of the name of Ram and the pastimes of Ram, that is like the singing of a cuckoo bird. But the effect that narration has on our heart is like the roar of a lion. We can see, just like when wild animals get into the den, into the caves of a lion, the lion comes in and ferociously roars, and just hearing the roar of the lion, all the wild animals flee. They all run away for their life. So similarly, in the cave of our heart, we see so many wild animals sitting in the form of lust and anger and envy and pride and inferiority complex and competitive mentality and so many other vices and negative emotions. But Rama Katha is the ferocious roar of the lion. Valmiki Muni is the lion, and his roaring is the Rama Katha, on hearing which all these wild animals leave the cave of our heart. And the roaring lion can sit in our heart and continue to roar in the cave of our heart for all times to come. So in this way, the melodious sound vibration of the Valmiki Ramayana is compared to the singing of a cuckoo bird. But the effect it has on the heart, where all the anarthas, all the aparadh, all the offenses are taken out, that is compared to the roaring of a ferocious lion. In the start of the Valmiki Ramayana, we can see Valmiki Muni starts off humbling and offering obeisances to his guru, Narada Muni. And so wonderfully, it has been described that he offers Narad Muni a seat. He offers him obeisances. He washes his lotus feet. He circumambulates Narad Muni. Narad Muni is, of course, ultimately the Jagat Guru. He is the Guru for all the Jivas. You can see Narad Muni is the Guru for Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni is the Guru for Dhruva Maharaj. Narad Muni is the Guru for even Bhagwan Vyasadeva, the compiler of Srimad Bhagavatam. Narad Muni is the Guru for Chitraketu. Narad Muni is the Guru for Mrigari, a hunter who would find joy in killing animals half dead. But then Narad Muni instructed him, do not do this. Live a life of saintly behavior, free from all sorts of violence, and Krishna will maintain you. Mrigari became a great soul by the blessings of Narad Muni. Also we see Narad Muni was the one who uplifted Manigriva and Nalakuber, the two sons of Kuber who were completely intoxicated, and they were committing all sorts of abominable, sinful activities. But by the great blessings of Narada Muni, even Manigriva and Nalakuber, the two intoxicated sons of Kuber, they also found their spot as the eternal associates of Krishna. First of all as the trees in Nandagram, and then later as the eternal singers in Goloka Vrindavan. So in this way, Narad Muni is the Guru for the whole world, and even the great sage Valmiki Muni seeks inspiration and empowerment from the words of Narad Muni. So Valmiki Ramayana starts off with this very, very beautiful verse. Tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vakvidamvaram naradam paripapracha Valmiki Munipungavam. That Valmiki Muni, he inquired from Narada Muni. And so many adjectives have been given for Narada Muni. Narada Muni is tapaswadhyaya niratam, which means he's completely absorbed in the study of the Shastras, the Vedas. He's tapasvi. He's not just studious and completely absorbed in studying the Shastra and the Vedas. He's tapasvi. He's very austere. He's the greatest devotee. And at the same time, Vak Vidam Varam. He is the best among orators. He's the best among speakers of Hari Katha. So he's the exalted, expert, erudite scholar. He is the most austere and devotionally inclined Vaishnava who's practicing and chanting the holy name and very renounced as a sannyasi. And Vakvidam, he is the most eloquent speaker of Krishna Katha, Ram Katha, and Muni Pungavam. He's the best among all the sages of all sampradayas. They all look up to Narada Muni. You can see in traditional Vedic culture, you have so many sadhus in so many traditions, and they're all traveling and singing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Whether it is Sripad Vallabhacharya ji, or you can see his followers in the form of the top 8 singers in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya, whether it is Surdas ji, or whether it is Kumbandas ji, whether it is Nandadas ji, or in a different tradition you can see whether it's the tradition of Madhvacharya, or the tradition of Sripad Ramanujacharya, whether it's the Alvars from Tamil Nadu, or whether it is Melpattur Narayana Bhattadri and Pundana Nambudri from Kerala. Or going up, you can see the great Saint Meera singing for Krishna, Meerabai. Or whether it is Jayadev Goswami, or whether it is the Gaudiya saints of Bengal, or whether it is Goswami Tulsidas ji. You can see all the saints of all sampradayas in different sects, in different lines of Vaishnav thought. They are all singing and preaching. But it's quite fascinating. The root of this preaching movement is Narad Muni himself. Because Narada Muni is traveling not from one city to another. He is going from one cosmic creation to another cosmic creation, carrying his veena. Narada Muni bajai veena Radhika Ramana Name. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that Narad Muni is such a celestial traveler that he travels from one place to another playing on his veena, calling out to the holy names of God. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam we can see, whether it was preaching to the Prachetas or whether it is preaching to Prachina Barhishad, in all forms, whether through an allegorical story in the 4th canto or whether through direct cutting instructions in the first canto to Vyasadeva, Narad Muni is Sarva Vyapi. He's present everywhere. In all the stories you can find Narad Muni. This same Narad Muni incarnated in Kali Yuga as Srivas Thakur, in whose courtyard, in whose house Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had hours and hours of singing, dancing, kirtan. Because ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says in the Gita, as you approach me, I will reciprocate. So Narad Muni has been singing for Krishna all this while. So therefore, when Krishna, with Srimati Radharani, when they come in Kali Yuga as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they sing in the house of Narada Muni, in the house of Srivas, and there are hours and hours of kirtan. As Narada, you can see in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he's so detached. He's so detached that when his mother departs, his mother leaves her body, Narad Muni sees that as a blessing. Why? Who would want to see the departure of their near and dear ones? Nobody, right? But Narad Muni, as a child, he saw the departure of his own mother as a blessing in disguise, because he thought to himself that I am so attached to my mother. I am embraced by the affectionate fold of my mother. When will that day be mine? When my only attachment will be at the lotus feet of Krishna, and I can feel only the affection of Krishna and nobody else. So when his mother departed, and Narada was only a little child, he saw this as a blessing. All my material attachments have been taken away. My Lord, wholeheartedly I can say I am yours. And impressed by the innocent devotion of Narada Muni, the Supreme Lord even gave him darshan, personal audience. And Narada was very inspired by that direct audience, the direct darshan of the Supreme Lord. As Srivas Thakur, we can see, Srivas lost his son in the middle of the kirtan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is singing and dancing, and he's not feeling the ecstasy. He stops the kirtan and asks the devotees, is there something wrong? Is there an intruder into the house who's not a devotee? Why am I not feeling the mood of kirtan rasa, that heights of ecstatic devotional experience, which I usually experience? Why is it that I don't feel it today? What's wrong? And the devotees say that Srivas Thakur, who's the host of the whole kirtan program, he has lost his son, my Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is startled. He's shocked. How is it that Srivas didn't tell me? In fact, Srivas would tell all the ladies who were crying in distress, he would tell them, oh, don't cry so loudly. It will disturb Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. Think about it. Narada, as a child, loses his mother, and he prioritizes Krishna over that. And now as a father, as Srivas Thakur, Narada loses his son, and he still prioritizes the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni is like gold. When he's put through the fire of distress, he only comes out way more effulgent and blazingly radiant than before. At the lotus feet of that Narada Muni, it is described. Our Valmiki Muni, he asks questions. And what is the question that he's asking? The Valmiki Ramayana opens up to this very beautiful question. Konvasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmajñascha kritajñascha satyavakyo dridabhrataha. Valmiki, as the disciple, is asking his guru, Narada Muni, dear Gurudev, dear Narada Muni, please tell me, is there a person in the world who lives today who's full of all good qualities, Gunavan, where all transcendental qualities reside, Viryavan, who's the strongest, Dharmajnaha, who's the most spiritually righteous, Kritajnaha, who's the most grateful to each one of his servants. For those who are surrendered to him, he reciprocates gratefully. Satyavak, who's most truthful, and Dridhavrataha, who holds on to his promise without any turbulence. It is described in the life of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami that Raghunath Das Goswami performed so much austerity, and his austerities were like lines on a rock, which means they never moved. If you make a line on a rock, you come tomorrow and you see the line is still there. You come 10 years later and the line is still there on the rock. You can't erase it. So it is described. Raghunater bhajan jeno pashanero rekha. That the bhajan, the spirit of devotion of Raghunath Das Goswami used to be like lines on a rock. Never move. No deviation absolutely. The time of his waking up, the time of his sleeping, the time of his chanting, the number of obeisances he offered every day. Even at the age of 80, in the ripe old age, when Raghunath Das Goswami was 80 years old, he would offer thousands and thousands of obeisances every day. 1,000 obeisances to Krishna, 2,000 obeisances to the Vaishnavas every day. He would chant the name of different Vaishnavas and offer obeisances. He would chant the name of different Leela Sthalis, the pastime places in Vrindavan and Navadvip and Jagannath Puri, and offer obeisances. Where is Raghunath Das Goswami getting the spirit of bhajan? One-pointed spirit. It comes from the Lord. The Lord doesn't move even an inch. He doesn't budge an inch from his vow, from his promise of protecting his devotees. So when Narad Muni is hearing this beautiful question from Valmiki, as he's listening to this question of Valmiki Muni, his heart rejoices, jumps in joy, because Valmiki Muni is saying, please tell me, is there a person who's full of all these qualities? Someone who is gifted with wonderful character, someone who always thinks about the well-being of everyone and is selfless, doesn't think about himself, who's capable of doing things that others cannot, who's supremely, wonderfully beautiful and handsome, at the same time who's self-controlled in all his endeavor, he who has completely conquered the vices of anger, lust and greed, he who is brilliantly effulgent, he whose heart is free from envy, he whom his enemies fear and tremble to face in battle. O great Narada Muni, please let me know. Do you know of a person who's full of all these qualities? At that time, Narada Muni, he breaks into a smile and he says, Oh Valmiki, please listen to me attentively. All these qualities that you have described, they point my attention only to one great personality. And then Narad Muni chants, Ikshvaku Vansha Prabhavo Ramo Nama Janaishrutaha Niyatatma Mahaviryo Dyutiman Dhritiman Vashi. O dear Vyas, O dear Valmiki Muni, Ikshvaku Vansha Prabhavo. My heart, my consciousness runs to the lotus feet of that great personality who's born in the Ikshvaku line. And Janai Shrutaha, people have heard his name as Ramo Nama Janai Shrutaha, as Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramachandra. And Niyatatma Mahaviryo Dyutiman Dhritiman Vashi. He is the personality who has steady character, steady nature, incomparable, inconceivably inexplicable strength, so much beauty. He's self-effulgent. He has all his senses and he has all his enemies under his control. He's supremely intelligent. He follows the rules of the Shastra. He's so eloquent and he articulates like nobody else. He has broad shoulders. He has very strong arms. He has conch shell-like shaped neck with 3 lines of a shankha. He has prominent cheeks like our Ram Lalla in Ayodhya. He possesses strong, broad chest, which is the resting place of Mother Sita, the goddess of fortune. He is armed with great bow and arrows. At the same time, he has very strong, well-protected collarbone. He has knee-long arms. He's Ajanubahu. All the signs of a great personality. He has a very graceful, noble head. He has a graceful forehead. At the same time, he is the most mighty, most powerful, well-proportioned body. He has the most well-proportioned body. He's the most mighty, powerful king. He is neither too tall, nor is he too short. He has shiningly radiant complexion. He has these wonderfully developed, large, beautiful lotus-like eyes. And he is the repository, the sitting place for all good qualities. How can I describe, O Valmiki, This Sri Ramachandra, he eternally protects all of his devotees and all his subjects and all those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He is wise. He is very obedient to his elders. He is selfless and pure in his heart. And at the same time, he is constantly the source, the object of meditation, even for great personalities like Lord Brahma. Like Lord Brahma is known to be the origin of all good qualities, Sri Ram is the origin of all auspiciousness. What a beautiful opening to the Ramayana. Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Narad Muni says, Sarva Shastrartha Tattvajnaha. How is Sri Ram? Sarva Shastra Artha Tattvajnaha. He knows everything about all Shastra. And Smritiman, Pratibhanavan. He has impeccable retention, grasping power, retaining retention power, and reproducing power. He has Prajna, Medha, Pratibha. These are three aspects of learning. Prajna, Medha, and Pratibha. The grasping power, the retaining power, and reproducing power. And all of them put together, this is Smriti, or memory. So he is impeccable as far as memory is concerned. He remembers everyone, everything, in all ways possible. And Sarva Loka Priya Sadhu, Adin Atma Vichakshanaha. Sarva Loka Priya. He is dear to everyone, to all the worlds, all the jivas. And he's a sadhu. He's very saintly. Although he is the king, yet at the same time, he is very saintly. And Adin Atma Vichakshanaha. He is never disturbed at the time of difficulty. He is not a Dinatma, which means a confused, disturbed, agitated mind. He is unperturbed. Adinatma and Vichakshana. He knows what to do at the right. He is expert of time, place, circumstance. Kala Desha Patra. His decision making is perfect. In what circumstance, what has to be done, what has to be spoken, to whom, where, why, and how. He is a perfect judge of time, place, and circumstance. Oh dear Valmiki, said Narada Muni. He said, just like the ocean, Prayati Ratnakaram eva sarvada, all the rivers stream towards the ocean and find the ocean to be their resting place. Similarly, all living beings are like rivers moving here and there in life, and ultimately their resting place is the ocean of all good qualities, Sri Ramachandra. He is Kaushalya Sukhavardhana Ram. He is the one who expands, who increases, enlarges the joy potency of Kaushalya. And how can I describe to you, O Valmiki? Let me give you some examples, said Narada Muni. Vishnu na sadrisho virya. He is like Vishnu as far as his strength is concerned. And Somavat Priyadarshanaha. As far as his beauty is concerned, he is as effulgent and as soothing and rejuvenating as the moonbeams at night. At the same time, Kala Agni Sadrisha Krodha. When he gets angry on the battlefield, his anger is like the fire of devastation. The final fire of complete devastation and annihilation. And at the same time, Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha. As far as his forgiveness and his tolerance is concerned, he is like Mother Earth. Look how much Mother Earth tolerates. She is being abused. People are digging through Mother Earth, at the same time polluting and spitting and completely putrefying the land of Mother Earth. But still, amidst all the pollution and the weight of so many sinners and violent, irreligious leaders, still Mother Earth tolerates. Therefore, Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatasthana Mandale Vishnu Patir Namastubhyam Padasparsha Kshamaswami. Vedic culture means as soon as we wake up and before we place our feet on the surface of Mother Earth, we chant this verse. Samudra Vasane Devi. O Devi, O Mother Earth, the oceans are your sari. And Parvatastana Mandale, the high-peaked mountains are your heart, they are your chest. And Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam, O Mother Earth, as Varahadev, the Lord lifted you up and accepted you as his wife. Padas Parsha Kshamaswame, please forgive me, I have to start my day by placing my feet on you. Please forgive me. So as far as tolerance is concerned, Sri Ramachandra is like Mother Earth. And as far as his renunciation and charity is concerned, dhanadena samastyage satye dharma ivapara. As far as his charity is concerned, he is like Kuber. He has so much money and he's ready to give and share it to the demigods. And as far as his intensity is concerned, his steadfastness is concerned, his discipline is concerned, he's like Suryadev because he's Suryavanshi. Just like the sun rises and sets and causes day and night for the whole world, Sri Ramachandra is like the sun. He is unstoppable and immovable. After saying that, Valmiki Muni now wants to know more about Sri Ram. So he asks Narada Muni, may I know more about this great personality? So Narad Muni very quickly does an overview to the whole Ramayana. He starts off by saying how, for the welfare of everyone in Ayodhya, Dasharath Maharaj decided to install Sri Ram, who's the older, the eldest affectionate son of Dasharath Maharaj. Dasharath Maharaj wanted to install that Sri Ramachandra as the heir to the throne, or the king who was going to take over after Dasharath Maharaj. And everyone intentionally, lovingly, affectionately loved this pick because they all loved Sri Ramachandra. However, Narad Muni explains, seeing the preparations for the installation of the coronation of Sri Ramachandra, Queen Kaikeyi, who was previously given boons by Dasharath Maharaj, as we famously know, she demanded, by the brainwashing act of Manthara, Kaikeyi wanted to use both her boons at this auspicious time of the coronation of Sri Ram. When Ram gets coronated, you always find there are some people who are not very happy with it, even in the present generation. So Manthara was really agitated, and she tried to brainwash and agitate the mind of Kaikeyi Devi, who used both her boons at this point. With the first boon, she wanted Bharat to become the king, and with the second, she wanted Ram to be exiled for 14 years out of Ayodhya deep into the forest. Goswami Tulsidas ji has written, Raghukul Reeti Sada Chali Aayi, Pran Jai Par Vachan Na Jai. This has been the tradition in the Raghukul, in the Surya Vansha, the family lineage of Dasharath Maharaj, that they are ready to give up their life, but never go away from their words, their vows, their promises. They are very true to their word. And so did Dasharath Maharaj, being very true to his promise that he had given Mother Kaikeyi. He sent his very dear son Ram deep into the forest. Sri Ramachandra was not at all perturbed, not at all affected, not at all agitated by this reversal. However strong Sri Ramachandra is to overrule and overturn this decision, still Sri Ramachandra, in order to please his mother Kaikeyi and to keep the word of his father, the command of his father, Sri Ramachandra went deep into the forest and he kept his promise. Narad Muni, doing giving an overview, a brisk, very fast skimming overview of the Ramayana, speaks to Valmiki Muni, and then he says, what to speak of the brother of Sri Ram, Lakshman, who followed Sri Ram deep into the forest. Tam vrajantam priyo bhrata Lakshmano nu jagamaha snehat vinaya sampanna sumitra ananda vardana bhrataram daito bhratuhu saubhatra anudarshayan. It has been described that Lakshmana loved Sri Ramachandra so much, and he eternally loved Sri Ramachandra so much, that tam vrajantam priyo bhrata, the brother who went deep into the forest, as Ram went into the forest, the brother who went with him, his name was Lakshmana, very dear brother of Sri Ram. Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna Bahi Prana Ivappara. Valmiki Muni later writes that for everyone their life is inside their body, but for Lakshmana his life was outside his body. That is Sri Ramachandra. And Lakshmano Lakshmi Sampanna. Although Lakshmana was going from forest to forest, from one place to another with Sri Ram, he is being described as Lakshmi Sampanna. Lakshmana did not have any bank accounts. He did not have any investments. He didn't have any real estate. But still he has been described as Lakshmi Sampanna, which means he who was completely filled with wealth. He was having surplus wealth. But what wealth are we talking about? It is Rama Bhakti. Lakshmana never rested in those 14 years. All day and all night, he was on the edge of his seat, on the tip of his toes, to serve Sri Ram and to serve Mother Sita. Whether it was in the beginning, accepting the decision of the reversal, going into the forest, making huts for Sita and Ram, clearing the stones on the path of the walking path of Sita and Ram, collecting some firewood, collecting some water, and in all ways protecting the divine couple at day and night from all evil spirits, even when they rest. This was the wealth that Lakshmana carried in his heart. He was endowed with so much humility and modesty. Vinaya Sampanna, Valmiki Muni writes. He was endowed with so much humility that he considered Sri Ram, his older brother, to be his life and soul. And the service to the lotus feet of Sita and Ram to be everything in his life. He was the one who enhanced the joy of his mother, Sumitra, who actually instructed Lakshmana. O Lakshman, as you go deep into the forest with Sita and Ram, I want you to consider Sita to be your mother, and I want you to consider Ram to be your father. I want you to consider the forest to be Ayodhya, and in this way, live there, serving your parents comfortably. Displaying unparalleled fraternal love, brotherhood and friendship, Lakshmana followed Sri Ram deep into the forest. But then the question is, what about Mother Sita? What are her qualities? And how come she followed Sri Ramachandra into the forest? Valmiki Muni writes, Ramasya Daita Bharya Nityam Prana Samahita Janakasya Kule Jata Deva Mayaiva Nirmita. What are the beautiful, wonderful adjectives used to describe the qualities of Mother Sita? Narad Muni is speaking at this point to Valmiki Muni and saying, Ramasya Daita Bharya. The wife of Sri Ram, that is Mother Sita, is Daita, very dear to the heart of Sri Ramachandra. And Nityam Prana Samahita. She is as dear to Sri Ram as his own life. She always thinks of Sri Ram more than her own self. Janakasya Kule Jata. She is the beloved daughter of King Janak, and Deva Mayaiva Nirmita. She was the incarnation of the internal potency of Sri Ramachandra. She is therefore the eternal consort of Ram. Sarva Lakshana Sampanna. She was the abode of all good qualities and characteristics. And Narinam Uttama Vadhu. She was the best among the feminine community, which means the best among women. And Sita Api Anugata Ramam. Sita also went with Sri Ram. How? Shashinam Rohini Yatha. Just like Rohini, who's the wife of the moon god, follows the moon god. Similarly, Sita was like Rohini, the wife of the moon like Sri Ram, although he appeared in the Sun dynasty. Poetry absolutely has no beginning and no end. Metaphors can go as long as the Supreme Lord, because Krishna speaks, Sri Ramachandra speaks in poetry. So now continuing ahead, Narad Muni describes to Valmiki Muni that as Sita, Ram and Lakshmana went deep into the forest, following this reversal, the command of their parents to be their life and soul, the citizens of Ayodhya, they were not at all happy seeing this change. And Dasharath Maharaj himself followed Sri Ram for a long distance. Then after that, Ram approached Guha, who was the king of the tribal Nishada community at Sringverpur. And after that, he sent his chariot driver Sumantra back to Ayodhya. And after that, it is described by Narada Muni, Ram, Sita Ram and Lakshman, they crossed the Ganga. Moving from one forest to another, and at the same time crossing through wide and deep rivers with a lot of water, they finally reached the great scenic historical place of Chitrakoot, where the Chitrakoot mountain resides. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam describes Gurvarthe Tyakta Rajyo Vyacharad Anuvanam Padma Padbhyam Priyayam Pani Sparsha Kshamabhyam Mrijita Patarujo Yo Harindranujabhyam Vairupyat Shurpanakhya Priya Viraharusha Ropito Bhruvi Jrimba Trastaptir Baddha Setu Khaladavadahana Kosalendo Vatannaha. This is one whole verse in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives an overview of the Ramayana in one verse. And it says, I believe this is Canto 9, Chapter 10, text 3 or 4. I believe text 4. So, Gurvarthe Tyakta Rajyo, for the sake of his father and his mother, Tyakta Rajya, Ramachandra left his own palace, left his own kingdom. And Vyacharat Anuvanam, even for people like us, who are not born in royal, aristocratic king-like dynasty, even for us to move away from our home and just to relocate to another city is so difficult. New people, we're moving out of our comfort zone. What to speak of the Supreme Lord, the creator of all creators, the origin of all origins, the source of all sources, the most divine source, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. He who is the source of everything, he comes in this world and is asked to leave from his own house. And not just leave, but have no connections to anybody. And he walks barefooted from one forest to another, knowing not where to live, where to find food, what to expect next. No servants, no help. Vyacharad Anuvanam, Sri Ramachandra walked from forest to forest. And Padma Padbhyam Priyayam Pani Sparsha Kshamabhyam Mrijita Patharujo Yo Harindranujabhyam. Bhagavatam describes that feet of Sri Ramachandra, which is always massaged by the lotus palms of Lakshmi Devi or Mother Sita. Those lotus feet of Ram are walking barefoot over the thorns and the stones and the sharp grass and the pebbles of the forests as he walks. Yaditvam prastitam durgam vanam adhyaiva raghava agrataste gamishyami mridante kushakantakan. Sita Devi told Sri Ramachandra while they were leaving from Ayodhya, what will I do sitting here? I want to come with you deep into the forest. This is what I desire ultimately. Sri Ramachandra said, but what will you do in the forest? You're such a aristocratic princess or a queen, the beloved daughter of Janak Maharaj. You're Janaki. What will you do in the forest? Mother Sita said, Yaditvam prastitam durgam vanam adhyaiva raghava. When you walk from forest to forest barefooted, agrataste gamishyami. I promise you, Sri Ram, said Mother Sita, I will walk ahead of you. Generally, you will see the wife, she may walk behind. Even in the marriage, when they take their rounds over the sacrificial fire, she's walking behind. But then you can see here, Mother Sita says, I will walk ahead. And what will you do walking ahead? Agrataste gamishyami mridante kushakantakan. I will move all the stones and pebbles and thorns so that, O Sri Ram, when you walk, there are no thorns. And surely enough, that is what Mother Sita did. Lanka was the most dangerous forest, and Ravan was the most dangerous thorn who had pricked the heart of Sri Ram. What did Mother Sita do? She walked ahead. She first went to Lanka and caused the appearance of Ram to enter that forest of Lanka to uproot that thorn called Ravan. So it was Mother Sita who not just moved the thorns and the pebbles physically from the ground, but she also moved and uprooted the thorn called Ravana from the forest of this world. So Bhagavatam describes Sri Ramachandra did this by befriending Sugriva, by accepting Hanuman. And then Vairupya Shurpanakhya Priya Viraharusha Ropito Bhruvijrimba. The pastime of Sita's kidnapping has been very beautifully and quickly described. Sri Ramachandra gets angry at this. He crosses the ocean and finally Trastabdir Baddhasetu Khaladavadahana Kosalendovataanaha. He builds the bridge over the ocean, crosses over, sets Lanka on fire, kills Ravana, destroys the demons, rescues Mother Sita. Bhagavatam says, I bow down to that king of Ayodhya who performed such sweet pastimes. All of this in one verse. So please, everyone, that's the homework. You please memorize this one verse. We should be in the next 10 days memorizing this one verse. I know it's a very long one, but try bit by bit, little by little. जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं बूंद बूंद से घट भरता है. As they say that with every drop you can create an ocean. So similarly, every day let us try to memorize these verses, especially the Ekashloki from the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After coming to Chitrakoot, it is described that they made a hut, Sita, Ram and Lakshman, they made a very beautiful hut of leaves, and they walked around the forests of Chitrakoot. Just like Radha and Krishna performed sweet pastimes walking through the forests of Vrindavan, the devotees of Ram find supreme joy in the forest pastimes of Chitrakoot, where the divine couple Sita and Ram walk from one place of the forest to another, appreciating the flowers and the fruits and the bumblebees and the natural scenic beauty which arouses their mutual love for each other. However, Valmiki Muni later listens to this beautiful narration from Narad Muni. Chitrakutam gate rame putra shokaturastatha raja dasharata swargam jagama vilapan sutam. It is described as Ram was in Chitrakoot, Dasharath Maharaj was hit by the arrow of grief in separation from Sri Ramachandra. And very quickly after that, in separation, as the snake of separation bit the heart of Dasharath Maharaj, feeling so much separation, pangs of separation from his beloved son who had just gotten married and was about to become the king, Dasharath Maharaj, in separation from Sita and Ram, left this world. And after he left this world and went back home, back to Godhead, Bharat, who was assigned now to become the king, even great Brahmanas and sages like Vashishta Muni were telling him to take up this service. Bharat, however, being so loyal to his brother, Sri Ramachandra, he did not desire to rule the kingdom. Very brave, very courageous, very loyal, very devoted Bharat, who had absolutely no trace of envy or hatred in his heart. He went into the forest to find the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra. Finally, Narad Muni speaks to Valmiki Muni and tells him, Bharat reached the lotus feet of Sri Ram, and worshipping him with so much respect and begging him, imploring him with beseeching words, Bharat addressed Sri Ramachandra and he told him that, please come back, oh dear brother, you should be the king. When the older brother is there, it is completely prohibited for the younger brother to rule as the king. I want your lotus feet to return back to Ayodhya. May you become the king. I just want to be your servant. Ramchandra, although completely magnanimous and merciful, he declined this request. Ramopi paramodara, although Ram is parama udar, completely magnanimous, and Sumukha, always smiling, and Sumahayasha, who's famous for all his good qualities, although he could have melted to this proposal, Nacha Aichat, he did not desire. Why? Pitur Adeshad Rajyam Ramo Mahabala. He did not desire to go against the instruction of his departed father. Ramachandra could have very easily come back to his capital city, but he did not. Therefore, what did Bharat do? Sa kamam anavapyaiva Ramapada asprishan Nandi grame akarot rajyam Rama agamana kankshaya. Valmiki Muni has written in his Ramayana that Bharat waited in a place called Nandigram. He took the lotus footwear of Sri Ramachandra, Ramapada upasprishan, touching the lotus footwear of Ram on his head. Bharat returned. Of course, he was disappointed that Sri Ramachandra did not agree to his proposal. But Bharat worshipped and carried the slippers of Sri Ram, which for Bharat was taking the position of Sri Ramachandra's lotus feet. And in this way, Bharat Rajyam Akarod, he ruled Ayodhya, but while being in Nandigram. He installed the lotus footwear of Sri Ramachandra on the royal throne, and he lived in a little place called Nandigram in the outskirts. And he ruled as the king, following the instruction, but he installed the lotus footwear of Ram, as if the lotus footwear, the sandals of Sri Ramachandra, Paduka, they were actually the king, and he was simply the servant. And Valmiki Muni writes, Rama Agamana Kankshaya. He had the Akanksha, the desire for the Agamana, the return of Sri Ramachandra. After this, Narad Muni continues describing many more incidents, but for today, we will pause. It's time up. Tomorrow, we will continue in the overview and see, as Bharat returns, what are some other details that Narad Muni describes in this overview. And very quickly, as the overview ends, we will come to the beautiful, wonderful section of the transcendental birth and appearance of Sri Ram. So in these 10 days, our desire is to collect a few jewels from Balkand, and then successively in the coming years, as and when the Supreme Lord makes arrangements, our desire is to try to share more and more as service for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas, more and more hidden jewels and lessons from the pages of Valmiki Ramayana. Thank you all for joining in. My obeisances to each one of you. Let us all pray on this auspicious, momentous occasion of the Prana Pratishtha, the deity installation of Sri Ram in Ayodhya. May our hearts be eternally intertwined with the lotus feet of Sri Ram, and may each one of us learn to respect each other and serve each other like how Bharat offered his service to Sri Ram, completely selfless. At the same time, let us all be like Lakshman, ready to sacrifice and work hard in the service of Sri Ram. And like Mother Sita, let us be ready to uproot all the thorns which are acting as Ravana on our path of bhakti. More about Hanuman, but later. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To each one of you, I offer my obeisances. Hare Krishna. We will end here today. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Hare Krishna.